Welcome to the Coaching Lab. Today we'll be talking about creating spontaneous and trusting relationships. If you're following along with the International Coach Federation Core Competencies, this is number 3. Now this is the ability to create a safe, supportive environment that produces ongoing and mutual respect and trust. And one of the ways to do this is setting a firm foundation right at the beginning. So as you can see on the board, I am going ahead and writing this down. And this is what we talked about in the very first webinar of the Coaching Lab. Setting a firm foundation, which means that you have an agreement with your client as to what you will be covering during the entire coaching engagement. And within that strategic agreement, you also then will have weekly and often or bi-weekly, sometimes even twice a month, agenda set when you go into your sessions, depending upon the frequency of your sessions. So the firm foundation comes from having an agreement and having an agenda set. The agreement tells you strategically what you'll be talking about. The agenda set each time you come into a session tells you what you'll be doing tactically or within that moment. So that is where we will spend our time today. Some of the ways that we build this trust and spontaneous relationship we covered in our very last coaching lab, which was somewhat of a role play with real time with Lucy Marios, and she gave us a great example of how to use empathy and how to use the empathy and the understanding as your standard for building trust and spontaneous understanding, cooperation, and a general sense of being on the client's team. So that's what we've covered in the last 2 webinars, and today we'll jump in and go deeper. The first point of having mastery in creating a spontaneous and trusting relationship is that the coach can connect completely with the client. And one way that the coach does this is the coach needs to be able to see the client as capable. When the coach can see the client as capable, then the coach backs away from having an agenda to fix, to alter, or to change the client in any manner. So that's the first point. See the client as whole. That's part of the connection. Another piece is also the coach needs to be very comfortable. And when we talk about comfortable, this comes from practice, but very comfortable in not knowing what is best for the client. You may have some intuitive hits that you want to share with the client, but part of having the trust and the spontaneous relationship build and grow over a time frame within the engagement, it will require that the coach no longer has an agenda of knowing what's best for the client and allowing the client to learn if they don't yet know what's best. And some of that is through trial and error. Of course, we don't want the client to step out in front of the Mack truck. So if we do see something, we'll want to advise like a coach, and that will be coming up on a future webinar as to how do you give advice and how do you give direction without being coach-like. The next piece under creating a spontaneous and trusting relationship is being as a coach, being willing to be vulnerable and real and honest. So today, while I was coaching a client, we've been working on increased integrity with her relationship with money. And she has a foundation that we use as a means for her to gift and to do extraordinary things within her community. There's a budget set around how much she will spend each year from the foundation. And as we're ending the fiscal year, we had another request for another $2,500. As we went through the session, she was feeling guilty for not giving the money, and yet the cause that she was being asked to give to did not fit her core values, and it did not fit any of the initiatives within the foundation. So she, on the call, has learned through great practice and trial and error, that she was going to feel worse if she said yes than feel that little twinge of maybe not being as generous as she could be by saying no. And today she said, you know, to be honest, if I give the money, then I'm going against my integrity. And this is the first time that I can really say that and get rid of this little guilt twinge that I'm having. In that moment, I had to admit to her, because this is a joint venture, at times I will donate from my business to some of these causes, that I had considered giving, not for the same reason, but because the person that was asking for the money was someone that I had a long-term friendship with, a great appreciation for, and I didn't want to impair the friendship. But I, too, was in conflict that this would not be in my integrity to give to this cause. And so by being vulnerable with her and sharing with her that I, too, had to admit that I needed to have greater integrity and not give, even though I had a twinge of feeling like I wanted to, for the sake of friendship, I had to find a way to say no and not impair the relationship. So when the coach is vulnerable and real and honest, showing up as a human being rather than the expert that knows everything, that builds the spontaneous and trusting relationship as well. The next point towards this goal would be that the coach has some confidence. And confidence is something that's often earned, and it comes from going through a process of putting yourself into full partnership. So what I have to do is, when I'm working with a client, I have to constantly remind myself what is in the best interest of the client, not as what is in the best interest of me as the coach or the relationship. Even at times when it's financial, I have to back away and let a coaching client have a sabbatical leave or move out of the practice when the income would be nice to have, but the practice would not be served by having that client stay on. So you put yourself into the full presence as a partner with the client in coaching and creating what they want in terms of their path. And the final step is that we have a sense of ease and naturalness. So we have a sense of just coming in and having some flow, and we are not impairing ourselves as we coach with any expectations on ourselves or the client. And we also do not do a lot of work. We do more listening, but the heavy lifting belongs to the client. So we want to make sure that we carry only the burden of holding the structure, watching the time, staying honest, staying available, staying comfortable and connected, and keeping confidentiality. And when it comes time for the client to take on a load and do things, they need to do the work. So the client does the work. So those are the main points in creating a spontaneous and trusting relationship. What we have prepared today within the handouts is to quickly take these points, add them to a coaching session that will happen spontaneously here in just a moment in a role play, and bring in empathy, the tools for needs, and listening for emotions. We've given you some new handouts to do that with. Take the empathy to a deeper level, and then also give us a chance to see a coach connect, help them be comfortable in not knowing what's best for the client, help them be vulnerable, real, and honest, put their confidence out there that they are partnering with the client and the client is ready and willing for that partnership, but that the coach does not do more than partner and see the client as capable, and bring some ease and naturalness. So just give us 1 second, and we will bring on our first caller, and perhaps our only caller for this role play. Hi, Lynn. Hi there.
How's it going?
Good. Welcome on the call, Jessica.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us today. And
Yeah.
you've done several role plays that have been beneficial in the past. And so I appreciate you coming on the call today. We're going to do a quick laser coaching session. And so your role is to come into the call with something that you are either working on or thinking about. And I will demonstrate how to apply some of the spontaneous, trusting relationship sort of concepts that we just covered, as well as going deeper into understanding your needs and even your emotions as we use the handout.
Okay.
So if you're ready, let me know.
Okay. Let's see. Well, what if we were to talk about me having a Halloween party or not to have a Halloween party this year? Would that be good?
That is terrific. And if that's your agenda, that's where we go. Because I know you've had some very wonderful Halloween parties in the past.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just curious, what's making you even question that this year?
Oh, well, we get a lot of people coming over and a lot of, I guess you could call them friends of friends, and a lot of, which is just another way, I guess, to say a lot of people that come over that we don't know, and they get to be pretty large and pretty messy and pretty loud. So I think I'm just trying to figure out if I want to weigh out the risk of, I don't know, maybe have a party or to not have a party. Do I even want one? Am I just doing it because people are expecting it? I'm not quite sure.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, if I can check in with you really quickly, is you're a little confused about if you want to have it or not have it. Is that true? Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, and am I hearing a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of tenseness and uneasiness and apprehension around the fact that it's getting so big and been so successful that now you don't necessarily know everyone and it's maybe getting out of control?
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly it.
Okay. So now kind of a baseline. You want to discuss having the party or not having it. And when you finish this quick laser coaching call, how would you like things to be different in terms of what you're thinking about the party?
Well, I guess what I would really want the outcome to be is to, figure out if I even want one, and if I do, what exactly needs to happen for me to have a successful party, and if I end up ultimately deciding I'm just going to bag it this year, and I want to figure out what else I can do that is fun.
Okay. So it sounds like we've got our agenda. We either want to know yes or no, and if so, what can you do to make it successful, and if not, what else can you do for fun?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So you've thought about this for a little while, and it sounds like there are some risks around having it. What are the risks?
Well, let's see. Let's start out with the small stuff. Maybe maybe someone breaks my favorite glass, or people end up spilling maybe a glass of wine on my newly cleaned carpet.
Okay.
So that's kind of a risk. Maybe kind of getting on the bad side with my neighbors because of the noise. And then again, always just having people that you may or may not know in your house is a little nerve-wracking sometimes.
Okay. I just need to check in with your language because you said the small stuff would be things that are broken and wine spilled. Then you went into two other things, get on the bad side of the neighbors, or even since you don't know people, having strangers in your home. Are those the same weight as the small stuff, or do those have more weight?
Oh, those two probably have more weight. I mean, I can always clean my carpets again or buy, I don't know, fix a piece of furniture or something. But, it's really hard to get in the good graces of your neighbors at times. And definitely, if someone that I don't trust is in my house, something ultimately could happen that's really bad. So those are probably the two heaviest ones.
Those are the heaviest ones. Okay. So I'm going to reclassify those as the big stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go quickly through this because you've done risk analysis before. Should we take it through that? Okay.
Sure.
So, all right. The risks are 1 low, 2 high, 5, or 1 low, 3 medium, 5 high.
Okay.
So the small stuff, things are broken. Okay, let's assume things are broken. Let's just say it happens. How big of a problem is that? Small, medium, or large?
It's small.
Okay, so it's a 1?
Yeah.
Okay, so the impact that it has on you is one that's small. Somebody breaks your favorite glass.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like
Yeah.
you're well adjusted. You can give up the favorite glass.
Yeah.
Okay. Wine is spilled. How big is that, Jessica?
So probably like a 2, maybe a 3.
Should we give it a 2.5?
Perfect.
Okay, we'll break the difference between the 2 or 3 by giving it a 2.5.
Okay.
Okay, let's go up to the point where you get on the bad side of neighbors, and you said that that could happen. You've taken some great care to try to build good rapport with the neighbors. You wouldn't want that to happen. So how big? Let's say, you know what, you get on the bad side of the neighbors. How bad is that?
Oh, it's probably, let's see, 5 is the highest, so it would probably be like a 3 or a 4.
Should we get it to 3.5? Split the difference?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay, now we're looking at strangers in your home, people that you've never met, friends of friends of friends, and that's going to happen. They're going to be there.
Yeah.
You know that's been happening. How big of an impact is that? How scary is that to you?
Probably, well, it's just around the most, like the worst scenario would be if something got stolen. Then I would probably have to say that's a 5. It's kind of a big deal.
Okay. Let's go to the worst case scenario then. We're just kind of measuring the risk right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to probability. So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about how probable is it, Jessica, that somebody is going to break a glass or something small.
That's very probable.
So is that a 5?
Definitely. Yeah, it's almost likely something's going to end up getting broken.
Okay. Sounds like this is the voice's experience. What's the probability that wine will be spilled?
Yep, that too. That's probably a 5.
Okay. All right. Okay. What's the probability that it's going to be so big that you're going to actually have your neighbors upset about you?
That's probably a 3.
Okay. All right. And what's the probability that you are going to have somebody in your home and something will get stolen or something bad will happen?
That's probably pretty low. There's usually a lot of people I don't know, but they're friends of friends, so maybe 1. There's still a possibility, but it's not totally outruled.
Okay. So if we look at this and we just do the math, we do simple multiplication, and that last one was a 1, right?
Uh-huh.
So the strangers in your home actually give you a total of 1 times 5, so the risk there just comes up to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
That's
and
pretty
get on
high.
the neighbors. Well, actually, your total would have been if it was high that something was going to get stolen. Let's go back to that question.
Oh, okay.
What's the probability that something will get stolen and or having these strangers in the house?
Not very high.
Bad. That's not very bad. Okay, that's a 5.
Oh, I thought we were still working on the 1 to 5 scale. So when it is 5, that sounded pretty high to me. But
yeah, I see what you're saying. Nope. So right now, actually, the highest would be a 25 because the biggest number we could come up with these factors would be 5 times 5.
Okay.
So that one gives you kind of a reality check that one's a 5. The impact on the neighbors, though, pull out your iPhone real quick if you can and do 3.5 times 3 while I'm putting in the little subtopic here.
10.5.
Okay. So we have a 10.5.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's higher than the strangers coming into your home.
Yeah.
When you think about it, though, Jess, is on the bad side of the neighbors in your mind and in your heart, does that seem more scary, or do the strangers coming into your home seem more scary?
Well, I think I would. I don't know, because I guess I know that it's not likely that something's going to get stolen. It's just a possibility, but I know it looks like here it's more likely and more of a big deal that I upset my neighbors.
Okay. All right. Does that ring true to you as you're saying that?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. If we look at the small stuff like things broken, you're going to have a 5 there. And on your calculator, let's do 2.5 times 5, about the wine being spilled.
That's a 12.5.
Ah. Do that one again. 2.5 times 5.
Oh, okay.
You might be right.
12.5 again?
12.5. Yeah. Okay. And the small stuff is going to be a 5. And since I'm doing this and you're on the calculator, let's do one more. Let's go back and do the 3.5 times 3 again.
Okay.
What do you get?
That's 10.5.
10.5. So our numbers are all true. When you put them together, it looks like the wine spilled is going to be happening, and it sounds like you're willing to deal with that.
Yeah.
Sounds like you've invested in knowing how to clean the carpet. Getting on the bad side of the neighbors is the biggest concern right now. So the question I have for you is, as you look at it, what's your sense about having a Halloween party this year?
I don't know. It doesn't seem too awesome. I know I can put up with it. I've done it before, but I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards not now that I'm looking at what my risk is and how high some of the more prolonged negatives are.
Well, I can hear in your voice, if it helps at all, that this threat of maybe your physical home, maybe your safety, the need for shelter, having things okay in your neighborhood is really, it sounds like there's some tension in your voice when you think about that. What happens when you start thinking about doing something else?
All that bad stuff kind of falls away because I feel like I don't have to worry about hosting. I can just go to someone else's party and have fun.
And is that the point about Halloween? Are you looking to have fun, or do you really enjoy the hosting?
No, I'm looking to have fun. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what would be something that you could do that would give you fun, make you enjoy the holiday, but wouldn't put the pressure on you of hosting the party?
Probably go to a friend's party instead.
Okay. What other things have you looked at?
I know that there are some haunted houses in the area. I could go to those, or
okay.
Maybe I know that there's probably some clubs that are doing some themed parties, so I could go have a night on the town.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, Jess, when you started this, you wanted to have a little more clarity, and you wanted to have a little more peace of mind of even knowing what you wanted to do. Are you there yet, or do we need to discover some more?
Well, I know that I'm definitely not having a party this year.
Okay, you made that decision.
Helps. Yeah. Yeah.
How are you experiencing that decision? How are you feeling about that?
Better, a little relief, and I'm looking forward to finding what other kind of trouble I can dig up that night. So.
Okay. Sounds like you have what you need and want. Do you feel a little more free and a little more peaceful?
Yeah, I do. Thank you.
Good. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So, Jess, I'm going to check in with you, and we also had someone on the line who was our observer. So, Derek, are you there? And Derek, you can just pipe in whenever.
All right.
Hi there. From the outside, what were some things that you, Jessica, and you, Derek, saw that the coach was doing to actually see the client as capable?
You put confidence in the things that she said, so her input you didn't second guess. You validated with in a very natural way. So you just believed that she would say what she meant or meant what she said. I think that maybe just comes down to taking her responses and her input at face value. But you were also able to throw that back to her in a way to verify did I hear you correctly? Is this an appropriate summary of what I've heard so far? Kind of that validation also contributes to that aspect where you're, seeing her as a capable and I guess she's able to find, to respond. I don't know. It just adds confidence to her being able to be safe and tell you where she is and be validated.
Thanks for that input, Derek. Thank you. Jess, did you experience what Derek was saying?
Yeah, definitely. I did.
Was there anything in particular that made you see that the coach felt like you were competent and that you could see your answer for yourself?
Well, I did feel like you were very understanding and you wanted to make sure that you were clear on everything that I said, and then, just actually having me lay it out in front of me and go through the whole process of weighing out the pros and cons and figuring it out. Yeah, I did.
Okay. Okay. And here's a point for those of you who are listening as coaches. I didn't know what was right for Jessica. And so when I came in the call, I had a history of knowing that she has these Halloween parties and that they're great successes, and I usually see pictures on Facebook or pictures are mailed to me so I can see the results, and they look like they're fun. But knowing if that was the best thing for her to continue or not, I had to listen to her voice and let her see for herself. And so just using a model called the risk analysis model, which is risk versus probability, did some simple math, and she got to see what she needed to see. So I'm going to cover these last points and then see, Derek and Jessica, if you have anything else to add. I did refer to the empathy and understanding handbook or handouts, and I looked for words that would help me feed back to Jessica how I sensed she was feeling. I was vulnerable and real and honest in my own. I let her do the math, and then I rechecked it because I wasn't sure if I was hearing it, and I wasn't sure about my own math, so I had Jessica do that on her calculator. And putting myself in full partnership with Jessica meant that she gets to decide if she's going to do the party or not, but I needed to step in and make this decision-making as important for me as it is for her. Not the decision outcome, just the process of really being partnered with her and helping her find the decision, because she came in and set that as her agenda. She knew how she wanted to use the session. So Derek and Jess, if you have any other comments about what worked in this demonstration, considering the points that we have on the board, I'd love to hear your insights before we close up. Derek, why don't you go first? Anything else?
I think the mathematics was an interesting point. I've seen similar techniques used with SoulSalt coaching exercises, but I think the emphasis on being as present in the decision-making process, of you being fully present and fully involved, making that as important to her as it is to you, or making it as important to you as it is to her. It's not your decision. You're not emotionally attached to the outcome. You can still be very present and a full participant in the decision-making process. And so she feels like, I would imagine on the other side of that, being the coachee, having my coach in that decision-making process with me would make me feel supported, would make me feel like I had, a team to make the decision. Sometimes it's tough to make that call on your own, whether it's a party or anything else that might be, work-related or personal. In your personal life, it's nice to have that support, and it can make the decision-making process more clear. So you're not stuck in the cycle of your own thought processes, and you can get outside of that and see what else is going on, and maybe get some other perspective on the factors and how to stay objective throughout the process.
That's a really good point. That's yes, and yes. You're exactly right. That's one of the outcomes of good coaching, is that You get to have a partner in the thinking. You don't feel alone. And it gives you confidence, especially if the coaching allows you to come up with your own answer. It helps you see the clarity in your thinking and help you not feel like you're going crazy in your own head. So I'm glad you brought that up. Jess, what else would you like to respond to that worked for you today in building more of a spontaneous and trusting relationship with you during the session?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you for helping me out with that decision. I haven't been I've been thinking about it for the past few months, so it definitely helps. I think what spoke to me the most was, well, for one thing, you could hear the tone in my voice and the emotion in my voice, and be able to kind of hear whether I was nervous or excited, and I think that to me, you stating that you kind of hear the way that I'm feeling, and then checking back with me to see if that's actually how I'm feeling. That made me feel more validated in my decision making, and also I think just the way that you kind of led me to my own solution, or my own I guess revelation of not enjoying these parties as much as everyone probably else does, and yeah, definitely. And I'm the type of person that, just so all you know, if I don't come to a decision that is my own, most times I won't do it, and it definitely helps to have someone help you through your own decision process, and instead of them just tell you what they think they think you should do. So, yeah, that's
a really good point.
Yeah, because now I feel empowered and excited to do whatever I want to do, and I don't have to be dependent on what everyone else wants to do.
Well done, Jess. Good work. Well, thank you for everyone that was on the call, and for those of you who will be using this as a tutorial as you listen to the recording. And the next time that we meet, we will be discussing in November the coaching lab on active listening and helping to focus completely on doing that for the client so they can be facilitated. So until next month, hope everybody enjoys their coaching, and thanks again to Derek and Jessica.